So we got to, we're really going to do number Yud Aleph today. So in order to get into the sequence, let me just read the Zohar itself. If you allocate me oros Shemayim. So we went through some ideas about what Rekia Shemayim means, and we talked about the concept that the word Ma'oros is written faulty. Charlotte Dacha Nukva, which leads to the shlita of the male element comes first. Der Sivitzadik Yisod Olam. So then the Nahir Yud Betrin, so the Yud shines into two. The Nahir Ma'abed the Nukva, and then it shines, and here's the word Nahir again, and it passes through to the Nukva. So on that, we got to number Yud, and now we're reading the Nahir, the word Nahir. Vaz Me'ir the Mochin de Ima, Ma'abed the Nukva, and from the lights of the Mochin Bibi shine, and as a result, the light passes through into the nukva. Va'ovrim ha'oros el makom ha'nukva. They pass into the place of the nukva. Ba'achrei zer anpin, at the back of zer anpin, at the back side of zer anpin. Va'az negdalis v'nisaken is called parts of the nukva. So then she grows and she's rebuilt into the parts of the nukva. Achrei zer anpin, on the back of zer anpin. So I'm assuming as he's saying this, with two different kind of what's right way said ways of saying that the nukva gets malching, and so one is through this opening, the nekev, which I think the gevuros of Zeranpin produce a hole in the back of the chest of Zeranpin, and the nukva grows from there. So that's one way of looking at it, and then the other way is that actually there's a yichud that takes place for the yisodos, where then the sweetened kavuros come into, I guess, into the nukva, I guess, or that's the chasadim come into the nukva and and uh, and sweeten the kavuros that are there. So I assume that the first part is really the way that it begins is that the nukva as their anpin grows and the mochi comes to their anpin, they also go over to the nukva. That's what he's talking about there. But these are strictly gavuros. These are all gavuros, and I think for the sweetening part, I'm just trying to reason through this. That actually takes a yichud, and that's the yichud where the chasadim are placed into the gevurs and sweeten them. I think that's the best possible explanation. Now he says over here on number Yud Aleph down at the bottom of the page, he says, Rei b'yof Shav is of the shon of the Nahir ma'avir l'nukva. Oros mochin de'ima, so the oros that come from the mochin de'ima me'irim b'zer anpin, we know that they shine into zer anpin. So I'm a little confused about the fact that they use the word me'irim, which I think sounds like it's a secondary light, but at any rate, they're in. I probably not. So therefore, it's they're shining into Zeranpin, v'ovrim v'cholchim al acharayim to Zeranpin, and they actually travel through into the back of Zeranpin, the nukva to Zeranpin, into the nukva Zeranpin. Shekal binyan partsufo ku al yedei oros, because the whole structure of the nukva as she's built. Let me see if I go too far there. Uh, let's say we're up at the top here. The Ima should have come along Derek Acharayim that she received them on the backside, from the backside. Kamosha Kasser Rebbeinu Rizal Rezachobakol Eilah Adagarim Ba'orech of Rochev. Now, this is Lashon. All of these things, we're not sure what things you're talking about. Whether we're talking about the length of them or the width of them, become a Makomos in different places. Ad Khan. I'm not sure what that meant. So anyway, so the real root of this, if it's a boyer be'etz chaim, explaining the etz chaim. Zo the shon of hindecha betzina shara b'malchus nikras nekeba. Tam ha'inyan hu kamosha amara be'idra rabba, like we learned in Idra Rabba. Tana. So we learned on mispashet high tiferes mitavura the liba v'nakiv. So it goes to the place which is really basically the chest. Devura the liba. Let me see where I lost the place. Benaki, V'ma'avach Kinesis, he skipped the place. Bedra Rabba, let me go. Batana Mispashet, Height Ferris, Mitibura, the Liba, Benaki, Ba'avir, Begisa Achra. It goes to the other side, the talking parts of Nukva, and it builds over there the parts of the Nukva. Atibura until the Tibur or Bidibura Army Bidibura Shalim. Now this particular phrase, let's look at it one more time. It's a little bit not where I thought it should go. So he said the Naki, it makes a hole. The Ha'aber Begisa Acheres, no problem here. The talking parts of Nukva, no problem. Atibura. So I'm not sure what he means. That the Nukva is built until it reaches the level that Tibur and Tibur Shari, and that's where that Tibur, he's talking about, I think, the Tibur, the Liba of Zeranpin, but Tibur Shalim, and at that place it becomes complete. I think that's what he means. I'm not sure. It means to say that this is the place it grows down from there, I guess, starting at the Tibur, the Liba. I don't know. Ki Oris the Malchus Rachel. So her lights, all the lights, that is the energy that's within her to grow, comes from there. Shehu ben Bechor, she is Shehu, that is her Anpin. He's the firstborn. Shenoto Pishnaim. He takes this, the concept of taking the secret of taking Pishnaim. So he's a Helko, the Helko. And then after that, it makes Nakiv, it makes a hole in his chest. Misham Derek Anekev Ahu Yotzim Maora Shalova Achri Zeranpin. Kisham Omedis, that's where she's in. He, Kamosha in the Emar, and told him Acher Vekedim Sartani, so he made him in the front, I guess the back of the front. That's how he formed me. So he said, Va'oz Negdelas Sham V'Nisakenis called Partsufa, so there's where she starts growing. Regam B'Biragua, so we're going to get into that a little bit more. So now we go back to the back. Let's see how we're doing time. We have plenty of time here. See how much I could do. Okay, so now we're on page, where are we here? Taf Kof Tzadivav. And so we're reading over here, Yehima Oros V'Rakia Shemaim, etc., etc. That's where we're at. And let's go to number Aleph. Number Aleph said, Bebir Inyan Yehi Ma'oros. So when we talk about this fact, it says, let there be Ma'oros. So now we're spelling Ma'oros this way. Haniska B'Sifra Tzniuta, Kan Re Bebir HaMashul of the Viorizal, Shiniz Baral Pi Divir HaMaris Ruk, the Heider of the Nekeva, that is the Nukva, Shiniz Mad B'Sod Ma'oros Chaser Vav. So she becomes limited down. She's missing her Vavs. So there's a little something there. And he says, his little note that he has on this says that there's something missing here. He says, the key to Indian Khan Haser B'Ksiv Yad Sham. So I don't know exactly. I haven't seen the Ksiv Yad, so I don't really know. Moras Chaser Oz Vav, Ein Sham, he says, look over there, and then you'll see that it's not in the Ksiv Yad. Also look over there in the Yalter Shechah Shabir Ba'emsha B'Zel Shana B'Pirish Medechsev Ma'oros Chaser. So since it's written missing, he says Mizbar the Shalit Dacha V'Nukva. So explaining here, we're seeing here that you have now a Shlita of the Zachar over the Nukva Ad Kan. So Ein Sham. So he has, this is a little number bet, and he says number bet down below says, it says, Ray Gam came behind the Smelach. He said, the Holon Bezalashana is Chashekes Nukve. This Chasheket is lush and darkness. Shehi Malchut. So what does it mean? She goes into the darkness. V'zeh remez the Ma'oras Chaser Vav. This is a remez to that idea. Ad Kan, the Chayra Mefarish Kain Gam Kan. So we'll see more of that, God willing. That was number bet, right? Number bet. Okay, so now we're going to go over to read a little bit more. And he says, Obabir Hamashul the Fia Gron is Bayer Inyan Yehima Oros. So let's go back over this idea by the Gro. So he says the Ma'oros really represents Chasadim and Gevuros, the Das. Shehem Shnei Ma'oros Agadolim, and these are the big time Oros. Vehem Shorsh Tikuni Zer Banuk, and that's the root, that is Das is the root of the Tikkun of the Nukva Ein Sham, V'rei B'ha'aros Sham, B'chushahu V'chabezecha Dibra Eitz Chaim. What's the Eitz Chaim? That is the Chasadim, the Gevuras, the Das, the Rosh Erik Anpin. Now we're in the Rosh of Erik Anpin. Nekroim Shnei Ma'oris Agadayin, they're called the two big lights. Here you see all the vavs in their place. So Bei Shemos Matz. Now, this is an introduction to Matz, which I would like to know. Really, it's a Matz. It's a cipher of Yud K Vav K, and exactly its purpose, I'm not sure. It certainly does make everything call attention to itself, let's say, so to speak. So he says, Shnei Ma'oras Agadolim B'Sod Bei Shemos Matz, Hashem Keil Racham B'Chanim, like that. There's two Hashems there. V'hem Shorish Enikas Zer V'Nuk Ein Sham, and this is the concept of the feeding from this Matz of Zachar V'Nuk. So he says, so V'hi Nechan Kedevarim Ma'elu Rei B'Zohar Chai Khan in B'Chabiyosid Bir V'Zel Shana. Let's see if we can understand this better. So we have this concept of Matz, which takes place on the right side and the left side of the beard of Erik Anpin. He said, Here's the word Ma'oros spelled out, and let them be in the Ma'oros of the Rikiah of the Shemayim. So we have this word Rikiah again. Memorana Rizal Be'etz Chaim. So he says, Shorsh Zer V'Nuk, Hu Ba'atik V'Rich B'Sod Matz. So the fact that you have Matz twice. So let me just read his words to try to understand Matz a little bit. He says the root of the Zer V'Nuk is in Atik and Erik Anpin, B'Sod Matz, the two Matzes. Uba'aba Be'iba B'Sod Vav Dalad and Dalad Vav. And then when you get to further down, in other words, as the light moves down through the Matz, you get to Abba Ve'ima, who are really, I said, underneath the beard or affected by the beard. The beard flows down to their area. V'ima B'Sod Vav Dalad and also Dalad Vav. So the Vav Dalad and the Dalad Vav, all of which are aspects of the number 10, which is Yud, Shava B'Shava, so they're equivalent. In other words, you could have either the Vav first or the Dalad first. V'amar Yehima Oros Ela B'Sod the Das B'Sod Nair and the Nogit. So it's the concept of this river that flows. So so the male aspect of this, and we're talking about Matz, it's really where it originally comes from, right? He takes two parts. Chalak and Chasad and the Gevuros, he takes both. V'sham came Ma'oros Shavin. So they're lights, and he written this word Ma'oros is written Chaser. He says Shavim, they're equivalent. Shneichem Zacharim, both of them are in the male. I guess in the male, he didn't say that. Both of them are male, masculine. And they're in this place called Rikiyah Shemayim. He says the Rikiyah Shemayim is Das. So at that point, they're equal. So it is either Vav Dalad or Dalad Vav. It doesn't make a difference because of the same light. Because also the Gevuras, when they're in Zer Anpin, they're considered to be male. So let's see what we're doing here. So we're going to do number Dalad after this. Me'irim v'tovim, so they shine and everything's good. So that is at the time, and when they're in the Das. When the Das, they're 100% equal at that point. So now let's look at number Dalad. Let's see if I can understand it. It says, this is my glasses, I can see it clearly. There we go. Rei Be'etz Chaim, look over here, the Eitz Chaim, and this is the language over there, B'tok Devar, he says, Kasher Yatzo Elo HaOr Shal HaGevuros. So when these lights of the Gevuros go out, Min HaZachar Alecho, and they come from him into her, Hine Avro Derek Gufa de Zer Anpin, they have to go through the body of Zer Anpin Mamish Min Acharayim Shalo from the backside. In other words, they travel through his body to the back. Vaz Behechloch, so therefore it has to be Ba'avro Derek Bechitzas and the Chitzas. So since it has to go through the body of Zer Anpin and pass through it to get through the other side, Nechlash Kochel V'Nismata Araso. So this has an effect to be able to make everything smaller. mizmata rasa. Okay, nikra edaha oras nekeva. So therefore, these lights are called female because they're weaker. V'zecha v'sod she'oim lecha b'tamid b'kol makom tashesh kochu nekeva. That his strength was weakened like a girl. Ki chalishas hakoach hu kinoi el nekeva, because weaker physical strength is another way of saying the nekeva. Masha'en came kashinit nispashta ha'oraz techila ha'bezacha, which is not the case when they're all male over there when they go into originally. So he's saying that the definition of zacha v'nog has to do with strength. Originally, Zeranpin has all the power, but the two powers within him are equal. But once they start passing through his body, they become weakened, and that's the concept of the nekeva. Sh'az yansach begivui mefi yisod tavuna. So that's when they come out, and I'm not sure why it says gilui, because also they come out in a revealed state from the yisod of tavuna. Shuhu rechem nukva, which is actually, again, is another phrase. I'm not sure what he does with it. The which is represents the womb, the female womb, hamaluvash b'toch zachor, which is really clothed inside of the male. Okay, because she's inside of the male. Let me just look his words one more time. Shaz yansa begilu. That's the word that's got me here. Mifi yisod tavuna. Mifi from the mouthing or the opening of the yisod tavuna. Shuhu rachem nukva hamalovash betoch azachar. So this I guess this gilu that we're talking about is the rechem the nukva hamalovash betoch their armpit, which is inside of their armpit. And there you see that they're coming out, I guess, in the bodies they're on, in pure strength, without any weakening of their strength. Ella, Adayim Heb Bekocham Al Der Shiyatzim Memoch Abba Be'ima. And so, but we want to say that they're still in their major power because they're coming right straight out. I guess he wants to say the Moach of Abba Be'ima. Nick was Zacharim Ad Sham, and that's the reason why they're called Zacharim, and that's the place. And today is the 23rd of Tamuz. All right, so I'll make that mark right there. That was kind of interesting. I have to think about it. So a lot kind of interesting there.